Alright, hey guys, Pax, welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video. This video is the weekly meta report for the first week of June. And yeah, if this is your first weekly meta report, in this video I'm going to be basically going over several meta decks that have seen a bit of consistency in tournaments for the first week of June. As you can see, I'm basically going to be skimming this article from Pokemon Zone. I'm not going to read everything in the article, just in case you guys want to read it. I'm going to leave it in the description below. But yeah, I'm basically just going to go over the overall meta, as well as give my thoughts of the best performing decks in this article. At the end of the video, I'll be using one of these decks in rank, and we'll see how it performs. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. So yeah, we got two tournaments that we're going to be going over. Froggy EX Weekly Cup number 18, 409 players, and as you can see from the pool right here, so the majority, when it comes to the overall specific archetype, as you can see, yeah, Buzzwole EX is showing a bit of dominance. Now, yeah, Buzzwole EX, I feel like is one of those cards that like people have treated this EX very similar to, I'd say, like Giratina and also Gyarados, because with Giratina and Gyarados, when they first were announced, not that many people were that thrilled when they were first announced. However, as time goes on, they have shown their dominance in the meta, and yeah, Buzzwole EX, in my opinion, is very similar. Has a lot of synergy with just Ultra Beast in general. Like the overall Ultra Beast meta, Buzzwole EX just fits perfectly in, and with that being said, the Buzzwole EX deck has a lot of potential. Darkrai EX, same thing. Him and Giratina EX are still rather dominant. I've seen pairings with Darkrai with Nagan Nadel as well as Nihilego. So yeah, this chip damage overall, Darkrai paired with Nihilego, like doing extra poison damage, is pretty good. In my opinion, the only downside, I can see why Buzzwole is more dominant, is because Darkrai EX, keep in mind, is weak against grass, and Buzzwole being grass can one-shot Darkrai. Charizard EX still showing a bit of dominance. Same thing with Meowscarada. Very interesting, because in the previous ones, Meowscarada definitely had a lot more prominence, whereas it looks like it's slowly getting phased out. Same thing with Arceus as well. And with that being said, it doesn't look like there is Garchomp as well. Yeah, Garchomp used to be super dominant, and as you can see, slowly getting phased out. But keep in mind, things can change. I mean, Arceus was slowly getting phased out after a while, but started coming back. But then now it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of mid. Like, not many people are running him. Okay, yeah, this is the numbers in day 2. As you can see in day 2, somewhat reflects the pie chart right here. Yeah, huge dominance with Buzzwole, Darkrai, Rampardos only showing 4.9%, however, showing huge dominance in day 2. 7 people playing. Charizard EX. Silvally only 2. Okay, yeah, Silvally is definitely one of the best decks in my opinion. So it's interesting that, yeah, it's seeing low play, but we shall see. The meta is still fairly new, so keep in mind, yeah, with this whole pie chart can change when it comes to the coming weeks. Numbers in top 8, very similar as well. Buzzwole EX dominance, Darkrai, Rampardos. Pretty cool. And yeah, with that being said, the first deck we'll be going over is the Buzzwole EX deck. I have a deck showcase of this deck specifically. Slightly different. I did run Kartana, because Kartana is pretty good against Darkrai. Because of type advantage, you are doing 60 damage per turn, so pretty good. Pheromosa, on the other hand, is still relatively good as well, doing 40 damage in total, 20 to your opponent's active, 20 to your opponent's bench. Very good pairing with Cyrus, because you could just Cyrus to get him out. You could do chip damage with your Pheromosa during the early game, and towards mid to late game, once your Buzzwole gets out, just Cyrus, and then Buzzwole just sweeps. And this is pretty good as well, because like if your opponent also Giant Capes, if you attack with Pheromosa, that completely negates Giant Cape in a sense. So you can just basically one-shot Buzzwole unless your opponent heals. But with that being said, you also have Guzma. So yeah, just to counteract Giant Cape, you can just do that. Celesteela is an amazing retreat for Ultra Beast. Just basically an instant retreat. And as well as having amazing synergy with Buzzwole. The main downside for Buzzwole EX is Big Beat's attack ability. So as you can see here, during your next turn, your opponent can't use Big Beat. However, with Celesteela, you could sub him out. And keep in mind, Celesteela's Ultra Thrusters, the free retreat, doesn't count as a retreat. So you can either A, like sub in Pheromosa and then retreat with Pheromosa, or 2, if you're running 2 Celesteelas, you can just use both abilities to just sub in Buzzwole. Yeah, keep in mind the big counter for this, however, is Charizard EX, because yeah, if your opponent gets Charizard EX, that card can basically one-shot any card here, even with Leaf Cape on. But to counteract that, we do have Mars, which is pretty good. Again, Mars and red cards, they really do counter stage 2 decks tremendously. Yeah, you either like or hate Mars and red card. Repel is amazing too, basically the item equivalent of a Sabrina. Glutamine as well, basically the go-to Ultra Beast support. Very much a must run, and yeah, overall, if you want to invest in a very fun deck, I'd very much invest in this. I feel like you're gonna have a lot of fun using this deck. However, keep in mind, this could get outdated relatively fast, especially if power creep just keeps on hitting. But I see this deck being viable for at least 2 more months, so yeah, a lot of fun altogether. Next deck, a complete counter to Buzzwole, as I stated. Yeah, Charizard EX. This is a different variation, very interesting. So yeah, instead of running purely Charizard EX focused, you'd have Jigglypuff as well as Wigglytuff right here. Now I'm assuming this guy ran these two Pokemon basically to kind of like counteract Oricorio, because keep in mind, if Oricorio gets out, I mean, you could work with Charmeleon, but it's kind of hard to get him out, and most of the times you do want to use Rare Candy to get your Charizard out. Whereas this guy, yeah, one Wigglytuff does 50 damage, not bad. It also heals your active Pokemon, so pretty good 20 HP healing. If you pair the healing with Giant Cape as well as Lily, you can heal up to 100 HP, so pretty good. And this is great because keep in mind, Charizard EX, although his attack Steam Artillery requires 5 energy, you only really need 1 energy for this guy because yeah, you would feed 1, Stoke, you would have 4. Your next turn, you could have 5. With that being said, your worst matchup is probably Guzzlord, but yeah, looking at this, Guzzlord isn't really as meta currently, because yeah, keep in mind Guzzlord's first attack is basically a Team Rocket Grunt, so yeah, you can really set you back if that does happen, and your opponent gets at least 1 heads. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, it's still pretty cool that Charizard EX, specifically Shining Revelry, is still somewhat meta. During release, the specific Charizard wasn't really that good. If anything, the old Charizard was a lot better, but yeah, dude, given Rare Candy, this guy is like huge news now. Like, it's kind of sad, but yeah, the old Charizard is old news, sadly. I like him for what he does. Like, he's essentially this like a powerhouse cannon that could do amazing 200 damage. However, this guy is currently more consistent. Yeah, again, Lily, still an amazing support, as well as Poke Center Lady, I'm assuming healing the Wigglytuff as well. But yeah, overall, pretty nice deck. Next deck, oh yeah, this deck is a lot of fun. So it's a Silvally Rampardos deck. Yes, this is very fun. Type Null, you can get him out relatively fast. You basically, keep in mind in this deck, Type Null is your only basic Pokemon, so you're pretty much guaranteed him your first turn, and if you get a Pokeball as well, you can get 2 of them out as fast as possible. And during your first turn as well, if you do get Pokeball, if you do Gladion, you are guaranteed a Silvally. For this deck, your ideal setup is to have 2 Type Nulls, eventually get into Silvallies, work with the Silvallies, and then towards your endgame, Rampardos comes out and just sweeps your opponent. And if you guys don't know, this is Silvally's effect right here. So if you played a supporter card from your hand during this turn, this attack does 50 more damage, so you're doing 100 damage. A lot of fun because essentially for this deck, you're always using supporter cards. In this deck, let's see, you have 7 supporter cards, so theoretically you're going to be using them every turn. And yeah, with that being said, a lot of good synergy. Although depending on the scenario, you might run into awkward situations. You might run into a situation where like you have to red to get your Silvally, to trigger Silvally's extra damage, and your opponent can just have like a non-EX card, basically getting no value for red. You're pretty much just readying to get your Silvally damage, but yeah, that's still very unlikely because given how many supporter cards you have, I feel like for this deck, the hardest part is to get your Rampardos out. Like, yeah, depending on your RNG, I mean, Rare Candies are an amazing support, but I've ran into games where I just can't get Rampardos out. But yeah, overall, this is definitely one of the best decks, in my opinion, that currently in the meta right now. I do have a deck showcase on my channel for this specific deck, if you guys are curious. A very fun, low energy deck that, yeah, you're going to see a lot of consistency with, especially if you go second, because if you go first, that really does hinder your damage potential, but nevertheless, still very fun. Alright, next deck, very similar to the Silvally slash Rampardos deck right here. However, instead of relying on Rampardos late game, we have Zeraora to support Silvally as well as Oricorio, because yeah, keep in mind Oricorio, only 1 copy, but the ability Safeguard is amazing against EX Pokemon. So towards the late game, this guy can potentially win you the game because yeah, his ability Safeguard. If your opponent only has EX Pokemon out, you're either gonna stalemate or you're gonna tie. The only EX that can do some damage to this guy is Darkrai, but however, keep in mind, you do have Poke Center Lady, so yeah, a lot of sustainability with this card. And Zeraora is mainly here to basically support Silvally, because keep in mind, if you go first, you're gonna get Silvally fully built your 3rd turn. However, when you go second, because of the energy, if you go second, then your 2nd turn, you'll get Silvally out. So yeah, going first really does hinder Silvally overall. However, with Zeraora, keep in mind, if you get Zeraora your 1st turn, if you look at his ability right here, Thunderclap Flash, at the end of your 1st turn, take a Lightning Energy from your Energy Zone and attach it to this Pokemon. In other words, your 1st turn, this guy gets a free Lightning Energy. And keep in mind, if you look over here, pairing this with Dawn is pretty huge. Because yeah, Zeraora is amazing doing 50 damage. However, Silvally has higher potential, doing potentially 100 damage. As stated earlier, pairing this card with using a supporter card. And yeah, with that being said, Dawn. So if you go first, your 2nd turn, Silvally is only going to have 1 energy. However, if you pair Dawn with this guy, as well as Zeraora, then your 2nd turn, this guy can attack. So yeah, this helps with a bit of consistency, and keep in mind Zeraora as well. Doing pretty good damage. 50 damage is pretty good. So yeah, there's that. So overall, yeah, this deck is very aggressive. You want to prioritize chip damage, and Cyrus is amazing as well, because again, yeah, chipping your opponent. If they try to retreat, you just Cyrus them. Guzma just to counteract if you're putting Poison Barbs, or even against Tapu Koko, because yeah, in my opinion, you get insane value if your opponent Electrical Cords, and then you Guzma. Because yeah, if you guys don't know, Electrical Cord is essentially a Manaphy attack once your opponent's lightning Pokemon dies. So yeah, getting insane value with Guzma. Overall, pretty nice. Giovanni doing a little bit of damage, pretty good. Comparing this to the Rampardos deck, this deck could be debatably better. It really depends on your matchup, because there are certain matchups where this guy is going to be a lot more dominant, because that 130 damage in the long run could one-shot your opponent. However, if your opponent gets really lucky with, like, let's say, like Solgaleo EX, keep in mind when looking at this, Solgaleo EX one-shots basically everyone here. But at the same time, Oricorio, yeah, Oricorio is an insane counter to that card. So overall, in my opinion, this deck might be better, at least in the current meta. However, yeah, Rampardos, if you want to invest in Rampardos, this guy is an amazing non-EX. And I can see this guy being very meta for months to come. But yeah, that was the Frog EX Weekly Cup number 18. Next tournament we're going to be going over is Ursaday's Pocket Weekly number 29. Interesting. Okay, seeing a high Rampardos usage, as you can see here. Buzzwole EX, once again, being very dominant. Very similar, however, okay, let's look over here. So Rampardos for Frog EX, only 5%, whereas this guy, like, what is this, 20%? Yeah, 21%. Pretty huge. Kind of shows that, yeah, Rampardos is still relatively dominant. But let's see, I'm assuming most of these decks, okay, I'm assuming when this says Rampardos, they're actually talking about, yeah, the Silvally / Rampardos, so kind of makes sense how it's still relatively dominant. But yeah, looking here at day 2, yeah, very similar to the previous tournament, Rampardos 17, 16. Solgaleo is showing more dominance. Comparing it to Frog EX, yeah, Solgaleo is not even here at all. Looking over here, yeah, no Solgaleo. However, Solgaleo got a little buff. Debatable that I got a buff, but yeah, it really depends on your RNG altogether. First deck they're going to be going over is a classic at this point. Yeah, it's the 16 trainer Darkrai / Giratina deck. Yeah, if you guys don't know, in the previous meta, this guy was absolutely dominant. This deck right here, getting insane value, but yeah, we shall see once the meta shifts more towards newer cards. But yeah, as of right now, let's see, yeah, the player got to top 8 with this. Very easy to use, still very fun, and in my opinion, Darkrai is still one of the best EXs overall. Like, ever since this guy came out, he's always been meta. This has been huge. Same thing with Giratina EX, however, I feel like in this current meta, you might see more usage with Darkrai EX compared to Giratina. Overall, enough said. This deck, red card, Mars. That combo is 2 red cards. This guy is running 2 red cards. This is completely diabolical. Like, if your opponent's using, if they're running a stage 2 Pokemon, they're gonna have a hard time getting him out unless they get very good RNG after that red card. But yeah, this is very toxic. Pretty slow playstyle, but overall high damage potential. Again, for this deck, ideally you do want to go first to maximize Giratina EX getting fully built, as well as building up Darkrai later on. But yeah, pretty fun deck. Next deck, oh yeah, this is a new version of the Solgaleo deck. Personally, I mean, you guys might like it. This is just my personal opinion. I really hate this deck. This deck has high potential. On paper, it has higher potential because with Shinnok's ability right here, Illuminate. Once during your turn, you may put a random Pokemon from your deck into your hand. And keep in mind, you can do this twice per turn if you have 2 Shinnotics out. So with that being said, you can get both Solgaleos out relatively fast. However, I did film a deck showcase of this using this deck. I was going to edit it last night, but I don't know. Personally, my performance was pretty bad with this deck because, yeah, you have a higher chance to get Solgaleo out and overall higher chance of winning. But if you get bad RNG, then it doesn't matter. Like, if you can't get your Cosmog out, or like you can't get Shinnotic out, then it really does hinder your chances to win. And with that being said, yeah, it's very depressing. I lost a lot in that deck showcase. I might upload it. I might as well upload it, but yeah, this had very bad RNG. And I was thinking of adding Iono, but looking at this guy didn't run Iono as well. At least from my experience, I feel like Iono is a must run. But again, it's ultimately up to RNG. I don't know. When it comes to stage 2s, I feel like Solgaleo, even the previous one with Skarmory, you need to have good RNG. Because if you don't get what you need, then you're pretty much screwed. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer, like, for most decks. But in my opinion, Solgaleo hates me. Like, yeah, whenever I use this guy, I also looked on Reddit and people were complaining as well. It was like, oh, like, I saw a post with a guy complaining saying that, like, he has like a 20% win rate using this card. And I can very much see that. I mean, that's basically my win rate using this deck as well. And with that being said, in my opinion, if you're thinking of investing into Solgaleo specifically, I would probably still invest in like Silvally, Rampardos, like that's a safe bet. However, this card, I mean, yeah, you could just dominate the battlefield if you can get Solgaleo EX like as fast as possible. However, if you don't, towards the mid to late game, if you don't have Solgaleo EX out, then yeah, that does really hinder your chances to win. And with that being said, for this deck, you do want to play specifically, basically having 2 Solgaleo EXs out. So when your first one dies, you sub in the second one. However, with that being said, towards the mid to late game, Shiinotic becomes a liability. Let's say, yeah, your Solgaleo EX dies, you sub in your second one, and at that point of the game, if your opponent can basically one-shot this Shiinotic and has a Sabrina, you basically lost. Because yeah, your opponent's Sabrina's, at that point, your opponent has 2 points. Sabrina's one-shots the Shiinotics, and it's GG. But to counteract that, if your opponent also has like a stage 2, they do have Mars. But at the same time, Buzzwole is very dominant, so keep that in mind for most of this chip damage. So towards the late game, if your opponent Cyrus's, they could Cyrus a Shiinotic, winning the game. Yeah, overall, a lot of talking, but I don't like this deck. Personally, I feel like there are far better decks that you can invest in. And the Skarmory version might be better because with the Skarmory version, you are doing chip damage with Skarmory. So you can definitely play 1 Solgaleo EX late game and just have 2 Skarmories just kind of like chipping your opponent. So really, it's up to your playstyle. Personally, I still have a bias towards the old Skarmory deck, but yeah, it's really up to you. Next deck. Interesting. Okay, yeah, so it's very similar to the 16 trainer Darkrai EX and Giratina deck. However, for this, we do have Nihilego, a new card, and also an amazing support. It's doing extra damage, ability more poison. Enough said. You pretty much just do plus 10 poison damage. Pretty good, and if you pair it with Darkrai EX, you're doing 40 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. I feel like for this deck, you do have a high reliance with poison barbs. So yeah, with that being said, there is Guzma, but your opponent can Guzma as well. Somewhat negating the effect right here, because yeah, there are 2 ways in this deck to poison. 1 is Poison Barb, 2 is for Nihilego to attack. However, for this deck, you do kind of want to prioritize feeding Darkrai EX. So with that being said, your opponent can easily counter this deck. Also keep in mind, towards the late game, Nihilego can also be a liability, because again, if your opponent's Sabrina's and then they can one-shot this Nihilego, if they've gotten 2 points, then yeah, they can just Sabrina, kill this Nihilego. Overall, a pretty fun deck. I can very much see this deck working pretty well, but at the same time, again, Buzzwole EX, in my opinion, kind of counters this, doing type advantage to Darkrai as well as damaging the back. So yeah, your opponent can eventually pair Cyrus to Cyrus Nihilego and get the win. But yeah, if you like doing chip damage, just like poison as well, then this is for you. Keep in mind, if your opponent is using Arceus, yeah, Poison Barb and poisoning itself is not effective at all. And yeah, so these were some decks that have seen some success in tournaments for the first week of June. Overall, very interesting meta. The meta is still kind of forming because it is like, yeah, the pack just recently came out. So yeah, I do expect it changing a little bit. Very interesting how we are kind of moving away from rare candies. Like, as you can see, there's a lot of decks here. I mean, of course, stage 2s, you do need rare candies. However, of course, in this meta, there's a prominence with basic EXs and in basic cards in general. So the meta overall does feel somewhat refreshing. To end the video off, I'm going to be going over, we're going to be using this deck, the Silvally/Zeraora deck. And yeah, we shall see how it performs in ranked. All right, here we are in rank. Going second, this is pretty good because, yeah, okay, this is pretty good. We have 2 Pokeballs as well. Again, the Zeraora Dawn combo is amazing if you go first. However, if you go second, this is pretty ideal because we can potentially get Silvally out as soon as possible. It seems like interesting. Okay, this guy is probably using a Type Null / Blaze Fallon deck. Pretty good deck. I might make a deck showcase of that deck. However, in my opinion, this one might be debatably better. Okay, perfect. We got Zeraora, so this is pretty good. Lucario as well. Okay, yeah, this is not the worst. So for now, place down Zeraora. For now, I'm just going to hold on to Lucario, feed Type Null, and then attack. This is pretty good. So Quick Blow. This is pretty good because key-wise, key/energy-wise, we are at an advantage. So hopefully I can get a Silvally. This is good, but we are at a higher chance given that we have the Gladion support. But then keep in mind, we could still get a Type Null from Gladion at this point. There's a 33% chance that we can get Type Null, which is not ideal. Damn, he does Mars us. Kind of helps us. Like, I do appreciate that Mars. We do lose 1 card, but Silvally or Lucario, Zeraora. Okay, this is the one downside with Zeraora. Let's see. On the bright side, he does have more HP than Lucario. Okay, he does evolve. Ooh, okay. Yes, okay. Nice. Okay, this is another very awkward scenario, but this will work. GG. We're gonna do one more battle. This is wow. Okay, yeah, this guy got pretty bad RNG. This is kind of awkward. Again, you're gonna run into this scenario if you're using Silvally. We're gonna Dawn. Not really needed, but it does trigger Silvally's effect. One shot. Yeah, GG. Like, yes, this is pretty rough, but yeah, one more battle. This is, damn, dude. This is RNG diff in a nutshell. All right, next battle, going second yet again. Interesting, might be going against another similar deck. Okay, we do have Type Null Zeraora. This is very good. Very nice value right here. Honestly, okay, I can play this risky. There's 2 ways you can play this. 1, put Type Null in the front, or 2, put Zeraora down. I'm just gonna do this. Screw it. I'm just gonna do this. And keep in mind, Lucario is only really useful if your opponent has an EX. Oh, interesting, Charmander, okay. Yeah, because keep in mind Zeraora, looking in the previous battle, Zeraora has more HP, does the same amount of damage as well. So really there's no purpose placing down Oricorio if your opponent doesn't have an EX. And this is pretty good. He does have a Charmander, so he probably will have probably has a Charizard EX. Damn, this is pretty rough. For now, I'm just gonna place one Zeraora, because late game, if I put down Oricorio, there's really nothing he could do if his only Pokemon are Charmander. But for now, attack. Hopefully, I can get a Silvally. Please, give me a Silvally. Good damage, pretty nice. Getting that free energy from Zeraora's passive. This is pretty good. Again, keep in mind, next turn, if I place a Zeraora down, he won't benefit from his ability. So yeah, abilities aside, this guy's essentially a better Oricorio. Just a higher HP, same damage, same amount of energy. Okay, damn, this is, I don't know what this guy is playing. We don't have, okay, this is interesting. Okay, we might as well feed the Zeraora. Our RNG could be better, but at the same time, I don't know what he's doing as well. So yeah, just feed this guy, attack. This is all we could really do. But yeah, even if I get Tails, easy one-shot. Damn, I might have to do one more battle. Honestly, I might have to do a battle depending on how fast this is. Okay, it seems like he's playing for Litten, kind of. Oh, Gladion, perfect. This is good. So we can get some good value here. But he Giant Cape Litten, so I'm assuming most of his cards are Incineroar based. So for now, Gladion, hopefully please get a Silvally. This will be huge if I can get... Damn. Okay, this is pretty rough. For now, this is not good. I'll be honest. Kind of want to place this type null down, but it could hinder us later on. For now, I'm just going to do this. Sure, quick blow. Damn, okay, this is very unideal. Both of us are getting pretty bad RNG. And again, just to reiterate, the reason why I'm not placing type null or Zeraora is that towards late game, I do want to have an Oricorio out, because if he has both EXs out, there's nothing he can do against Oricorio. Aside from, I guess, doing chip damage with Incineroar. Okay, so yeah, type null is dead. So he could do chip damage with Incineroar, but at the same time, it's going to be pretty abysmal. We do have Poke Center Lady, so that will support us. Ooh, this should be a... This is a guaranteed Oricorio. Okay, yeah, so this is another way to play the deck. Okay, this doing chip damage, this is pretty good. For now, I might as well Giovanni. Screw it, I'm just going to do damage, because he's clearly playing... He's playing to use Incineroar, so 60 damage, doing a lot of damage to this card. Okay, yeah, Incineroar is out. Nice. Not even one-shotting Zeraora, so this is good. We can just maximize value right here. Okay, he does Lily, not the worst. Yeah, keep in mind, yeah, he's gonna take a bit of damage. Still gonna be burnt, but that's all right. Okay, this is gonna be a long game. Definitely the last battle, but okay, we're at a good position. Because yeah, once the Zeraora dies, there's really nothing he could do against Oricorio aside from burn him. And yeah, we have PC Lady, so we could survive several turns. Okay, he does Sabrina. I see what he's trying to do. I very much see what he's trying to do. Damn, yeah, he does have a Charmeleon. Only Charmeleon can do damage to this guy. Okay, yeah, he does burn. Very scary. Let's see. Can I get a heads? Okay, perfect. Okay, this is where it gets kind of risky. So I do have a PC Lady. Let me look at the deck right here. Okay, I have two PC Ladies. I could maximize this in PC Lady next turn. Next turn, if he attacks with Charmeleon, I will have only 10 HP. But to play it safe, screw it. I'm just going to do it right now. Why not? Because he could very much just Giovanni me or Mars me, which will hinder me because, I mean, I won't have PC Lady anymore. Screw it. I'm going to play a bit risky. I'm going to place this type null down. He already played his Sabrina, and that's only a card that can really counter us, in my opinion. So we do damage. He could very much still win. Okay, he Lilies yet again. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's no way he has... Okay, great. Yeah, because there's no way he has two Sabrinas, right? That would be huge if he does. Okay, yeah, that's doing burn damage. We did get Tails. That's pretty unfortunate. Hopefully we can get... Okay, Silvally, sure. Alright, scenario could be very much better. Screw it. Yeah, I'm gonna Guzma. Yeah, we could still lose this. This is pretty unfortunate. We could very much still lose this. However, we're just gonna play it like this. Okay, yeah, just do that, do this, do that. Attack. How many cards we have? We have 4 cards. We have a 25% chance of Cyrus. He's probably gonna sub into Charmeleon this turn. Crap, I played it kind of poorly. Yeah, I probably should have... we'll see. We'll see what happens. I could still win this, but in my opinion, I probably should have subbed in Zeraora. Just for Oricorio to survive a little bit longer. But Oricorio is dead, but hard to cards. Please, 25% chance. I need that Cyrus. That Cyrus would be huge. Fuck. The suspense. That suspense there was crazy. Oh wait, what am I talking about? We're still good. We are still good. Sorry, it's kind of late right now, but okay. The bright side, on the bright side, look at his Incineroar. The Incineroar is at 1 energy right here, so this is pretty good. PC Lady, Cyrus, what's up? Last card. I don't know what that is. That's something, I don't care. But for now, attack. Charmeleon is dead. And then now, yeah, okay, this is pretty good. Yeah, GG, okay, yeah. Honestly, he could have probably won if he Cyrus'd me, but let me see. Did he already? He didn't do it yet, okay. He already used Professor's Research, so yeah, it's GG, man. Yeah, GG. All right, GG. Might as well red just to flex. But yeah, this kind of shows an interesting comparison of like basically the old meta versus the new meta. Granted, Silvally, I mean, yeah, if you can get faster, if you can get built faster than your opponent, then you can just do amazing damage, as you can see right here. And yeah, that's pretty much the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want more. Overall, a very fun deck. Very fun. Again, I can very much see the meta. I can definitely see this card getting kind of like power crept and probably phased out in the next meta. Like, really anything can happen. Because keep in mind, this Silvally, if you want to think about it, this Silvally is essentially a better Midnight form Lycanroc. More HP, does more consistent damage, and overall a lot better. But yeah, it's a video. Again, hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe. Hope you guys found it informative and a little bit entertaining. I try to be entertaining, but yeah, I'm actually so hungry right now and I really should go eat. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.